Seems like the sun's trying to come out, although it looks kind of nice actually with the balance. And what's going on today? Seems like the theme of the news I've been reading has been about, I guess, business troubles. How about this first one, where you've often heard Amazon sounded like they were going to be the leaders in drone delivery, but it seems like they are constantly having setbacks and all that. This one says, Amazon drone delivery executive who oversaw safety, FAA relations departs the company. What's going on here, huh? Too much politics, I guess, in the business? It says Amazon has lost a high-profile executive in its drone delivery unit who is the company's primary liaison with the federal regulators, CNBC has learned. Sean Cassidy, Prime Air's Director of Safety, Flight Operations and Regulatory Affairs, announced his departure from the company last week in an internal note to employees, a copy of which was viewed by CNBC. Amazon hired Cassidy, a former Alaska Airlines pilot and vice president of the world's largest pilots union, in 2015 to oversee strategic partnerships in the drone program, saying here, quote, "This is my last day at Prime Air and at Amazon, so a quick note to pass along my profound thanks to so many of my friends and colleagues here who have made this nearly 9-year journey such an amazing experience." And they mentioned here, I guess, even says Bezos predicted a decade ago that a fleet of Amazon drones would take to the skies in about 5 years, dropping packages on customers' doorsteps in 30 minutes or less. That vision hasn't materialized as quickly as Bezos hoped. And it mentions, in August 2020, Amazon received Part 135 certification from the FAA, allowing it to use drones to deliver packages, but with some restrictions. Last year, Amazon announced it would begin testing drone deliveries in 2 small markets in California and Texas. That's been a common theme I've heard actually, where a lot of companies, they jumped at the opportunity of trying to get into the ground floor of things like drone delivery and all that, but it seems like as time goes on, the money isn't there for whatever reason. Too much regulatory barriers, for example. People are just not as enthusiastic about it. So what's going on, huh? Is it going to be profitable for businesses to actually, I guess, continue this line of work per se? And this was a huge piece of news too, where apparently Google lost a case of sort where people were suing them for, I guess, monopoly-like practices, I guess you could say, with their Play Store. This says Google's epic loss has implications for the whole tech world. Google's loss in the Epic case, a federal jury yesterday found unanimously that Google's rules for the Android Play Store broke US antitrust law, is seismic stuff for multiple reasons. Firstly, and somewhat incredibly, this is the first time a big tech firm has lost an antitrust case in the US, as Competition Walk Matt Stoller pointed out in a blog post yesterday. Antitrust cases have obviously affected change in the sector before. See Microsoft's 2001 settlement with the Justice Department. But this is different. The verdict may eventually have a broader impact across Silicon Valley, though right now it's Google's problem. Google is likely to be in trouble now because it is facing multiple antitrust cases, and these kinds of decisions have a bandwagon effect. The precedent is set. In every case going forward, the firm will now be seen as presumed guilty since a jury found Google has violated antitrust laws. Judges are cautious and are generally afraid of being the first to make a precedent-setting decision. Now they won't have to. So that's kind of an interesting thought there. So what exactly was the big deal? It says the specific legal claim here was about how Google forced firms relying on its Google Play App Store to also use its Google Play billing service, which charges an inflated price of 30% of the price of an app. Tying is pervasive throughout the economy, so you can expect more suits along these lines. So that's kind of, I guess, what a lot of monopolistic, I guess, businesses do. They force people to use certain solutions and stuff that cost people a lot of money because, hey, you don't have a choice, huh? So I guess overall, would this be a good thing? I don't see the negative at the moment, just based on what I read anyways, as one of those keeping bigger companies in check, I guess you could say. And the last thing I read dealt with the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which was normally a huge convention yearly for interactive entertainment, for example, things like video games and all that. I know they canceled their events in the previous years. You could say it's because of all the lockdowns and all that, but I guess people just aren't tuning in to these types of events anymore or attending live as much. And so because of that, they're closing their doors. It says, after more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye. Thanks for the memories. I know normally for this event, it was a huge spectacle where a lot of companies, they would reserve booths and all that to show off their new product launches. But as time went on, some companies like Nintendo, for example, they just decided, oh, we're just going to release our launches digitally. So you don't need to go to these events. And that's what a lot of companies are doing nowadays. They're just releasing their own, I guess, conferences online and all that. So it makes you wonder if the decision to close down was simply they couldn't recover during the shutdowns and all that, which happened to a lot of businesses actually, or is it just a lot of companies have no more interest in attending these large conventions and all that? All right, see you guys later.